Welcome, everybody. We've got people joining us and just settling in, so we'll let you get settled and get ready for our workshop today. Hello, hello. I see some familiar names. Couldn't quite get that out. Carla, how you doing?
Just fine. How are you?
I'm good.
I can't miss a summer without being in one of your classes, Lori. What can I say?
I'm very happy to see you, Carla. Hey, everyone. You didn't know you were coming just for a conversation between Carla and I, did you? But this is what happens when you join the CodeHS family of educators. We just have to reconnect for a bit at every workshop. So go ahead and take a moment. And if you want to introduce yourselves in chat, we would love to see where you're coming to us from. Hi, Kimberly. We've been chatting a little bit on email. It's good to see you. Hello, Stacy. Hey, Mary. We've got people joining us from all around the country. Love it. Welcome. Hey, Emil. It's good to see you again. Hi, Mark. Hey, everyone. So we have been getting a pretty good international audience at some of our summer workshops already this year. So that's been really exciting too. All right. And for those of you who may not know me, looking at this list, and I feel like I know all your names, but just in case, my name is Lori and I'm a PD specialist here at CodeHS. I've been here at CodeHS for over 3 years now, almost 3.5 years, something like that. Prior to being here at CodeHS as a specialist, I used CodeHS in my own classroom. And I get very, very excited when I get to be in workshops and talk to teachers and hear you all talk about how you use CodeHS. And I'm very excited to be here today with several people from the CodeHS team as well. We also have Gary with us. Gary is on the support team. We could not survive without Gary and the support team. And so we were very grateful for Gary's help today. We also have Robin with us from the PD team. Robin is another PD specialist and she'll be hanging out answering some questions. And I know he didn't think I'd call him out because he's just popping in to visit, but we also have Dave here from the PD team. And so if you join from the CodeHS team, I just introduce you. So that's how that goes. Thank you to the CodeHS team. And I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't begin introducing Erik Magness, our phenomenal CS teacher and CodeHS teacher trainer. Erik has been a CodeHS teacher trainer since the very first teacher trainer cohort back in May 2020. So I'm thrilled that he is back with us again today for Indiana Karel.
Hello.
And I forgot that I'm sharing the slides, so I'm going to go ahead and click. All right. So we already started introductions because I can't help myself. As soon as you get in, I want to know where you're joining us from. So feel free to go ahead and keep tossing your introductions into chat. Yep, Erik is from Philly. Erik Magness is from Philly. Erik from Montana, welcome. Welcome, everybody. It's so good to see you all. Yeah, and if you want to let us know, have you used JavaScript before? Is this still fairly new for you? You can certainly let us know anything you'd like to share. That always helps us. And it helps us get to know you too. All right, so we've got a few links for you today. We do have a link to your slides or to the workshop slides for today. So if you'd like to browse to codehs.com/IndianaKarel-slides, that will pull up the slides for you. You can also scan that QR code. I will leave it right here for a moment. So if you need to get your phone out, you can grab that and pull this up. And if you're not in a place where you can pull this up, not a problem, because I'm going to send this all out to you probably tomorrow at some point when we have the recording ready. Oh, cool. I'm just glancing back at chat. Emil, it's your first time to teach CS to seniors. That is exciting. Love that. My very first CodeHS course that I taught was actually to a group of seniors. And that was how I got hooked on it. It's how they got hooked on it. It was a very good experience. All right, we have another doc with a bunch of links. This one might even be more helpful than the slides link. For all the links for the workshop today, you can browse to codehs.com/IndianaCarol-links or scan that QR code. This one is going to take you to a doc that has all the links for today. Whoops, got just chaos happening on my screen. There we go. And it's going to look something like this, where you're going to have all the links available to you, and also all the links directly into the course once you enroll in the course. Give me a moment with that. Carla, I was just trying to remember what all you taught. That's a whole lot. And she's working on more, so. All right. If this is your first time of joining us and you do not have a CodeHS educator account yet, please head out to codehs.com/sign-up to create one. It only takes a couple of minutes to set up your account. Are you all seeing that screen with the codehs.com sign up? Okay, good. Just had a moment, little panic attack. It's all good now. All right. So yeah, it just takes a minute to set this up. If you are setting it up for the first time today, know that we do go through a little verification process to make sure that you are indeed a teacher, just before we allow you to be a teacher on the site, so we don't give solutions out to students. So if you are setting one up for the first time, you can always go ahead and just drop a message to us in chat or the Q&A. We actually do have a Q&A set up for this event as well. So feel free to use that Q&A for any questions you might have. That helps us not lose questions in chat, especially if we start getting some really good conversations going there. But we're happy to get you verified today if we can. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you like the links page, Joe. Yeah, we've been trying to do that to make sure we keep ourselves organized. It's a lot easier than trying to find all of those links in chat. So, all right. And once you have your CodeHS account, if you could go ahead and sign into CodeHS and then browse to codehs.com/go/7b7e7. No, I don't expect anybody to type that. We'll go ahead and get that tossed into chat. That would be great. Thank you, Gary. And you can go ahead and click on that. It's going to look something like this. You'll see you have so many teachers, and you can click join section, and that will take you out to Erik's class. Interesting. I think it's being a little cranky with me because I'm already in there a few times. So, all right. We'll keep an eye on that on the back end. If you do have any problems at all enrolling in that workshop section, just go ahead and drop a message into the Q&A or into chat, and we're more than happy to help you get in. All right, so one more link. And this one is going to be a good one for you to click if you would like, especially if you would like an attendance certificate. We will want you to click on codehs.com/IndianaCarol-attend, and that will allow me to easily send you a certificate of attendance for this workshop. So if you could take a moment and click that, and when you do that, it should just look like this. If you get this page, you should be good to go. Okay. And that is in chat. Perfect. All right. And I think at this point, I am done talking. And Erik, I'm going to turn it over to you, the star of our show. So Erik, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erik. As I said before, I'm in the Philadelphia area. And we're going to talk about Indiana Carol today, which is a unit that I devised a few years ago, and I constantly am working on, I guess, using the CodeHS platform. And I introduced this a few years ago to Lori, and she's been super supportive about that all the way through. Next slide for me. So just about me, I think this slide's 2 years old, but still, I've been teaching for a long, long time. I've been teaching, I taught public a little bit. I've been private school for the last 27 years now, I guess. And I teach at a private all-girls Catholic school, Villa Maria Academy. And I've been really working to grow the CS program there. For my first 20 years there, though, I was indeed a Latin teacher. And I was a classics major coming out of grad school and started teaching Latin and had a great time teaching Latin for 20 years. And I would do it again, but there was just one day that I just realized I'd read Caesar's Gallic War and Virgil's Aeneid 22 times, and I just needed something new. And so this was my new, and it's been an awesome transition. I also am a CSP reader. I just finished that. That was just last week, grinding away hours. If you're looking for something to do, we need AP CSP readers. So if you're one of those, feel free to join us, because we went extra 3 days this year. So we had just to get it all done. We have so many students taking it. So next slide, thank you. The picture I had there was my hobby. In fact, I got up early this morning before this and went canoeing this morning at my little local lake. And I build and restore little floaty vessels and paddle them all over Pennsylvania here. So, but for today, Indiana Carol. What is Indiana Carol? This is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with, what is Indiana Carol? Where did this come from? Why would anyone ever use Indiana Carol? What's the setting for it to be used? Or just the problem bank in general that's available on CodeHS, which is deep and wide and fabulous. When do I integrate Indiana Carol in my own classes? Who's it for? What student is this targeting after? And then hopefully we'll get to this really fun part, is how to make your own. And when we get down to the Let's Play section, what we'll do is I will start going in and just making a new chapter of Indiana Carol. There are 10 chapters, I think, so far. I'll just start making a new one. And hopefully you can follow me along, or if you want to go and start just making your own and ask questions as you go, there's a great time to do it, because we've got this team of CodeHS helpers who can guide us and hold our hands along the way as we invariably click on the wrong thing. Thank you. Next slide, please. So Indiana Carol is an extension. I originally created this as an extension of the class Intro to Programming, Carol the Dog Ace. I really enjoyed that class. I think it's intended for a quarter of a school year, and I wanted to expand it a little bit further for my students. And so I started working on this. I built this as a sandbox exercise where you go in and make your own worlds and create your own coding. And then it's been shared, and you guys have the links to many of the ones that have already been created. Not quite all of them are there for public consumption yet. And this is an idea of gamification that I love in teaching. I did this as a Latin teacher. I still do it now, where I want students, it's not the classroom that's gamified, but the activities that are gamified themselves. So Indiana Carol is a bit like a video game, where the player is responsible for safely moving a character through all the obstacles. And you don't have a controller or a mouse, but you have to code it correctly so it can move all the way through and do all that stuff. I'm a huge fan of Carol all the way through. I teach a lot of kids who are taking a coding course for the first time and are scared to death, and they don't know why they're there, and somebody made them do it, and their brother loves computers, but why am I in this class? And I really like how this gives my reluctant and doubtful students a chance to take a step into coding. I want them to keep improving their skills and scaffold assignments, and then I want them to synthesize the skills we've already learned. I want them to think creatively and have the work be focused on the code itself. Now, I will say Intro to Programming, Carol the Dog Ace already has great stuff. They have the extra Carol practice, they have the Carol challenges and the extra Carol challenges. I love all of them. I assign them, but I found them more akin to brain teasers. And then the coding could be very, very simple, just 12 or 25 lines of code once you figured out what the little trick was going to be. And I want them to have some opportunities, you can click on the next slide, to be able to expand their coding skills and write longer sets of code. So in CodeHS, there is your playlists. And what I did was create Karel as a series of exercises. You can see at the bottom of the screen right there, a bunch of different exercises. They're each build on the other and tell a story. So we have Karel the dog, and he is our adventurer. And one day, the very beginning, at the journey begins, he finds these keys in his yard as he's digging holes in his backyard and goes, oh, these keys must be to something. And thus our adventure begins. And Karel has all these adventures and monsters and things to discover and treasure to find. And then once I built these exercises, I gathered them into a unit, a playlist that I call Indiana Karel. And we created this little fun icon for it here for Indiana Karel. And you can, that one is the one that's public for everyone to see. And there's Indiana Karel 2, which is under construction. Next slide, please. And so you can see here is where we are in CodeHS. I go into my own course, and if you go to the bottom of the page, you can search for content, and then you can add things from playlists at your own playlists, as I would do, or go to the problem bank or the playlist bank. That's there in the red circles. And if you click on those, they will take you into all the fabulous things you can find that people have made, including this little Indiana Karel. And if you have Indiana Karel here, you can see at the bottom of the screen, you can click the next slide. This is the little assignment unit that you would find. So Indiana Karel Bats is the second of the journeys that Karel goes on. After Karel has found the keys and opened the mysterious door in the garden wall, Karel swings open the door and finds a musty stairway down. Walking fearfully down, Karel realizes the way is full of bats. Help Karel light the torches and chase away the bats. Paint all the red squares yellow. Use one for loop in your code to light all the torches. It should loop less than 9 times, and make sure you comment your code. So this is an example of an assignment that a student would initially have as they go in. And we will go through these various steps that I just talked about. We have a little plot, we have some guidance, we have some limitations, and then we have a goal. Next slide, please. And then once the student clicks on it, here's where they are. And if you've been in CodeHS, this looks like a standard exercise here. We have our goal on the left. We have our coding area in the center with very basic starting coding. And then on the right, we have the run code area where they can sample their code. And then what we're going to do here is the black bar on the right hand of the screen, that we're in the run code area right here. Can you click the next slide for me there, Lori? And now we are in the same assignment here. It's just now we're on the teacher view kind of, but then you click on the assignment and this brings up all the instructions for the students. I find that they often forget that this is here, and they'll say, oh, look, I've successfully done it. And I'll say, it seems as if you have 2 for loops. Yeah. 2 for loops made it really easy. I go, yes. Let's check the assignment here. You get 1 for loop. Oh, it's impossible. I go, well, yes, but we'll keep working on it. And the next slide for me. I skipped over the docs tab, which gives assistance. We are an ultra Karel for these assignments right here. Then there's the grading tab you can go into. And then under the more tab, the students won't see this, of course, but we teachers will see it. For my assignments, I have given a possible solution. Now, when I have a classroom of 20 students doing this, there will be 20 fabulously unique and strange solutions to this. This is just hopefully help to teachers if they're just trying to get their mind around it and help a kid out really fast. So this is what we see. So this would be one lesson that I've created in our little Indiana Karel unit so far. Next slide, please. So why use Indiana Karel? Indiana Karel was made for fun, engagement, and reinforcing material by spiraling concepts. The exercise can be used to measure understanding, paired programming, or some type of assessment. each exercise gives students specific goals and guidance for how to write their code. So when I write these challenges, I think to myself, what specifically do I want them to aim for? Do I want them to aim at a for loop? Are we using if-else statements? Are we using a while loop? Are we using a loop and a half? What is it that we're trying to really focus on? Lots of functions and naming functions, and how do we call functions and repeat code and things like that. So concision is very important to me, and reuse of code. And that's why there's a goal that I give for, can you do this in a limited number of lines? Now, I try to explain to my students that it's just a goal. You don't have to do that. It's just a goal. And so, but my students always feel like it's either get underneath that or they have failed it. So I try to explain, but it's not really it. It's just trying to say, you could do it these briefly if you need to. Next slide, thank you. So when do I use Indiana Carol? I use Indiana Carol in two different classes. I use it after the AP course, after the AP test in my AP CSP course. We get back, we all fondly remember Karel from when we started the course, and there's a chance to go back and meet Karel again. These are a little bit easier to do than what they've been doing. In a way, though, it's a little harder because there's no parameters and no lists, and they've gotten used to the ease of using parameters and lists. And so this just says, no, Karel's not quite as smart as using parameters and lists, but we can still pull this off. And so they get to play around. It's a sufficient challenge for them to relearn all of this stuff. One thing as a note I just learned this year is that Ultra Karel knows Booleans. Ultra Karel knows even complicated Booleans. Now, when it runs, it'll give you a red mark on the line to say there's something wrong, but Karel can do if red or green do something or other. Or blocked on left and blocked on front. So Karel's smarter than I gave him credit for, actually. The other time I use this is in the intro class, and it becomes the culminating work we do in my Karel Intro to Coding class. And it's a great way of just moving all the way through. Karel can turn right in Ultra Karel. Karel can turn right and turn around in Ultra Karel. Yes, thank you. Next slide. So who is my audience for this? And I think that I've given 3 bulleted things here, but it's really all students. So my most struggling students, especially at the end, gives them a new way of looking at it, a new way of looking at the material. They get to go back and do a for loop and an if loop again. And I get to give them lots of one-on-one attention about writing functions and naming functions and calling functions. It's really good for my students who are strong because it allows them to re-engage the material and loop back through over and over again. And they can feel really good and strong at what they've done. And then for my strong students, the way I build that is I challenge them to race through my units as quickly as possible. And some can do them very quickly and very short of lines. And then I have them then create their own Indiana Carol challenge. I've done this. I've had dozens and dozens of students do this. Many of them are not great. That's just, it happens that they just don't make great ones. Every once in a while, I get really fabulous ones. And if we have time today, I will show you one of the really great ones that I've just stolen. And I've got 2 more I'm going to steal from my students they made for me this year. So I love Indiana Carol because I could hit every level of my student and help them improve in their coding. Next slide, thank you. So let me pause here. Are there any questions that have popped up in chat that I should hit, or just anyone want to give me any questions so far?
Not sure if we've had any questions. Oh, Mark just asked now, I wonder how hard it would be to port these over to Python.
You know, Mark, I love that idea. I think it would be very easy. I think it would be very easy. And I actually had a student this year who was really, really great. And I was going to make her do that for me. And then we did other great stuff instead. But I do believe the way the assignments are built, the only challenging part is bringing the maps across. I don't find that there's a natural way of copying and pasting Karel worlds from one sandbox or assignment to another one. But it does make it so we can, but if the assignment is natural, so for example, if we're focusing on the bats one, a single for loop, that's going to be the same. The syntax changes, but it works. So Carla, yeah, when am I going to do it? I guess, just next week. Yes, they do need to be updated for Python. There's no doubt that is something that it's in my head, needs to be done. Yes.
So Erik, it's interesting that question got asked because I remember I started making Python versions of your Indiana Carols.
There you go.
I'll see where I left off, and I just kept running out of time. But
Yeah.
I might actually have a little bit of time to work on that tomorrow. So if I can help you out, I definitely will.
There you go. Well, it's the type of thing I need to just do the base of it because, for example, in my Python course I'm teaching this fall, I've got some very strong coders who've just finished various AP courses, and I could just have them. The hard part for me is just having them write the code up, and then I can just add that on as the teacher solution code. Other than that, it's just a matter of me getting on it. So, okay, you can go. Any other questions, folks?
I don't think there's anything else right now. We're just having some fun chats.
Yes. So what I want to do now is take you into the process of going in and making Indiana Carols and just what this looks like in CodeHS. Go and get to the next slide. So when we start this off, what you're going to do, and the next 3 slides are all going to show you 3 ways to do the same thing. Once you're in CodeHS, there'll be the navigation bar on the left, and there you see boxed is a create button. And create allows you to go in and create your own assignment. And if you click create, then the window on the right pops up, and then you can click that green box that says create new assignment. And that's how you're going to get started in this process. Later today, I will walk you through step by step me doing one of these, and you can just watch it happen. Next slide. Also, if you have already made something that you want to edit and turn into something like that, there's the little 3 dots on the right. You click them, you click edit, and that takes you in, and you can do these deep and wide edits to the auto grader, to the maps, to the assignment, the starter code, the solution code. Everything can be finished in that edit tab. And the next slide for me. And then if you happen to be in your own playlist, if you have just gone through the toolbar, which is what I do, and I go to the playlist area, when you go into my playlist, the create new assignment tab is ready to go. And so you just click right there. So those are the 3 ways. That's our first step into creating an Indiana Carol assignment. Next slide. So this is actually what I'm showing you right here, the second step, unfortunately. What you will do initially is when you click create assignment is that you will give a title and a description to your activity. You'll give a title and a description to your activity. And it can be very brief, just as a placeholder. And then you're actually going to save it. It's not until you click edit that you'll come back in and you'll see this screen. And the very important part about this screen that's different than the moment before when you just open it up is the advanced settings button at the bottom of the screen. And that's what takes us in to the behind the scenes of where Indiana Carol works. If you could click the next slide for me, please. You'll see here that these gray tabs across the top. So we're currently here on the overview tab. I named this one Indiana Carol Bats. It's an exercise. We're using JavaScript. the version is Ultra Carol. It has been published in the problem bank. And then you can also see the description, and that's what the students see to start. At the bottom of the screen, the starter code, which is the very generic code for the students. And on the right, the solution code, which the students do not see, but is there for the teacher to look at. Next slide. This is the area where we make our custom worlds. On the bottom left with the trees, that's the very original world I made. That's the beginning world where you find all the keys. That's the yellow circles there. And then you can see I've been editing and making my worlds here for the bats. And I will take you in to show you that, just so you know. You'll see you can paint things with different colors because we're in Ultra Carol. You can place and remove walls. You can place and remove balls, and you can change the size of the world. You'll see I have one small vertical rectangle and one horizontal rectangle, and the size of the world can get tremendously large. 100 by 100, it can get very, very big, which I'm tempted to do, but I try I'm tempted to do those, but I try to keep myself a little self-controlled here. So this is where you would design the world. And I will show you this process of you design a world and then you would edit its solution. Next slide. So then, so we're now on the fourth bar over. So we did our overview, then we saw the code, that's the starter and the solution code. Then we looked at the Carol worlds. And now this is for the auto grader. This was a bit of a learning curve for me because the auto grader is amazing and deep and wide, and it means it. Like if you set something that it has to have comments, the kid doesn't have comments, they will not pass the auto grader. And so I will go in and different programs will have different levels of details where if I require, so for example, it says required functions and methods. That's the next to the last one there. For this one, I am not requiring a named function. You have to have a function, but you can name it whatever you want. In other ones, I tell them you must have these 5 functions and must have these names, and the auto grader will check those. So the auto grader is really, really good. And it takes me a little bit of tweaking as I go through the process, but I really, really like it. And the next slide for me. So this is the teacher's notes. This is where I write little things. The teachers who download it, hopefully they can know that what its current status of being here is. I need to go update all of these because I know this one's been, a few of mine have been updated, but this is more of me saying, I hope it works for you. So it's only been tested by me and 100 or so students. So, but this is just a little comment area here. And then the next slide for me, please. And this is our assign block. And this is where you can pick the course to assign it to, where to put it to, are you going to have block coding or no block coding, and just all the normal assignment things. When will it be opening? When will it be closing? What's its value and scoring? And for me, those change depending upon the course I'm teaching. So it can just change around. So okie doke. Next slide. Yeah. So any other questions since we just ran through that super fast?
Yeah, at the beginning, when you were doing that, you did a create and then you had like a playlist. Is that a playlist you put in?
So yeah,
you put that in.
I named that playlist and I put my own items in that playlist. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's one question that I just wanted to address quickly is that if you are interested in using Erik's activities in your classes, you can find those by going to the problem bank and searching for Indiana Carol, and they should pop up right there. You can assign any of those activities in the problem bank into your courses as well. If you'd like to just check them out for today, you could do that from the problem bank, or you could go in and take a look at those in the workshop section that we've set up for you. If you had already gone into the workshop section a little earlier, you might not have seen those. We did a couple of quick things on the back end, but you should be able to see all those activities now.
If you happen to have any questions about them right now, I'd be happy to answer questions about any of the ones you see and to explain, I don't know, what's the challenge? What was I thinking about? What do the kids think about it? They hate them all. No, I'm kidding. I just blame CodeHS. I go, listen, I found these on CodeHS. I don't know what you're talking about. So
I love it. I think that might be it for right now. Gary just dropped a knowledge base article into chat about the problem, about using the problem bank as well.
And the problem bank has just so much great stuff for you people wanting Python. Just type in the word Python and you get a lot of really great stuff. So yeah, there's lots of good work out there.
Right. I think that's about it for questions.
Okay, so here we go. What we're going to do now, I'm going to take you through 2 more slides, and then what we get to do is go through and try one of these. What I'm going to do is I'll take over in a moment and go into CodeHS, and I'll just talk through one I had a idea for that I then wrote down on a Post-it note to say, you can't do it yet. You have to save it for this presentation. So we'll see how it goes. It may be disaster, but an idea. So click the next slide for me. So when I'm doing these, I think to myself, where do I begin in my process? I think to myself, what is I want my students to have more of a review at? What do I find them weak in? What do we just need more practice in? And so I'll just aim at something, a for loop, a while loop, if else statements, code reuse, which I find my students just don't want to do this, want to linearly write code for hundreds and hundreds of lines and don't realize it could all be just 10. Naming conventions, embedded for loops, which we have problems with, and just being concise with our codes. Also, because I want to tell a fun story, I'll think of plots of what I want Karel to do and what's a fun thing I can do with this very limited capabilities. Karel can't do much. Karel can change colors and pick up and place balls. I think is all we can do. That's about all Karel can do. So we're pretty limited on that. And then I'll also look at the auto grader just to look at its abilities and how far do I want to push its abilities. And as I learned this year, I was saying, Karel can do Booleans, which who knew? So, and we'll take the next slide. So here's this problem bank. And so this is what we're talking about. This is where you can find Karel. This is where you can find all your Python stuff in the world. And most importantly, this is where you can create things and share them for me to steal. So you please, we can all share for this little place right here. So, okay, I think what I'd encourage you to do now is go into CodeHS, and I guess you could do kind of whatever you want. You can go explore Indiana Karel. You can go into your playlist and create something here, like an Indiana Karel type exercise. Or if you'd like, you can join me, and I'm going to take over here and start making one myself here. And please, if you have any questions as we go, I just shared my screen and the cats just arrived. Perfect timing, cats. Here we go. So, so can you guys all see my screen okay? So up here, so we have this tab, create tab here, and over here I have a green button, and I will click on create new assignment. And I'm going to choose a coding exercise, here, this top one. And I work, for the purposes of these, I work with Ultra Karel. Ultra Karel means this is the height of the coding complication that Karel can do. this picks up right at the end of that course I was talking about, the intro to coding with Karel the dog Ace. That's exactly where this picks up. So I'll pick Ultra Karel, and then I'm going to name this Labyrinth 3.0. And I'm going to say, Karel. It's kind of mesmerizing display of colors. Help Karel navigate the mazes. So I should have mentioned this before. In Indiana Karel, half of them, maybe more than half of them now, have multiple puzzles to solve. This is inspired by the extra Karel challenges, which gives you so for example, one's called multiply, where there's two balls that you've got to multiply them into a new stack of balls. But you don't get to just code for 1, 2 times 3 is 6. There are multiple worlds that Karel has to solve, and one set of code needs to go solve all of them, not little individual subsets of code, but one set of code has to solve all of them. This makes the coding more of a challenge, makes the code have to be more reusable, and makes the kids think bigger picture. So I will go, yes, mazes. You've got to do lots of mazes to make this work. Now, at this point, I'm not going to worry about my description anymore. I'm going to come back to this because I kind of don't know where I'm going yet with this. I just know this is my general idea. So then I'm going to click save and continue here. And then I'm going to, I have no starter code to offer anyone yet. So I'm going to do save and finish, and I'm ready to go. And then I'm going to click my little X up here. And hopefully, if this works, I am now back.
Where do you get this? Sorry.
Yeah,
where do you
go.
get this at? The new create new under create?
Do you see on my screen on the navigation bar on the far left of the screen?
Yes, I see it.
If you click
Yeah,
on
I see it.
create,
And you're under my assignments?
so I'm in my own CodeHS. You don't need to be in our class. You're going to be in as a teacher at this point. You're not going to be in the course. I'm not sure if that makes a difference.
Okay. Okay.
You're going to be in, the other place to find it is under Toolbox, My Playlists. That's where I often.
Okay. Okay, let me do that then. Okay. Sorry.
Nope, that's perfect. That's great. That's why we're here. So once you click on the new create new assignment, you pick the coding environment, brief description, save it again. Whoops, I'm in the wrong spot here. Here I am.
Where do you get the Ultra Karel? That's what I'm having trouble finding.
Okay, let's just work this. So if I click create new assignment, I'm here.
I'm sorry.
Do you have this screen right here? Exercises.
Hold on. Let me go back.
It is true, Carla, that on some of these, I feel like some of the icons of this have changed, I'll admit, because there's used to be one called,
I'm like,
there used to be a different one called
gotcha.
example, which I can't find anymore. But so if you find this one, this is coding exercise. That will
Yes,
okay.
I got it.
Good. So now we've got our Ultra Karel there.
I knew it shouldn't be that hard because I use this quite a bit. So I knew it.
Good. So now that I'm here, I'm going to go into my Labyrinth 3.0. And right here, we have our little blank world. And I clicked the wrong button. Of course, I'm sorry. We're going to click on our 3 dots. I'm sorry. We're going to click on our 3 dots and we're going to click edit. We have to edit our world. So I'm going to go edit my world. And what you'll find is we can edit our name, we can edit our description that we just created, but then also what we really want is down here is the advanced settings. And this is what we walked through earlier. So I'm going to click through advanced settings here. And here's these 5 gray tabs we talked about here. So right now my title is Labyrinth 3.0. It's an exercise. I'm in JavaScript. I'm using Ultra Karel. I've not published this for the world to see yet. Here's the description that the students would see. And I have provided no starter code or solution code yet. We're just beginning. And then if we click on the next tab, here is where I can copy and paste and add my starter and solution code. We'll come back and do that later. And then here's where we're going to edit Karel worlds. Now, when we are editing Karel worlds, if it gives you an opportunity to save, please save, because I have done much work before and then forgotten to save, and it hurts when you do that. So it's a lot of work. So I see if I can do this here. I'm going to try to edit this world, and you can see we have all these different options, and I'm going to name this Labyrinth 3.0, and I am going to make this, for the time being, how big are we going to make this? 20 by 20. It has to be some type of rectangle. You can't make it odd shapes. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through and just design a world I've got an idea for right here. And if you do that, you can make your world whatever you want. After you've made your world, you're going to want to save it. That's essential here. And then after you make your world, the next step after saving it is going to be add a solution world. So the first world is, what does it look like when a student starts? And the solution world is, what's it going to look like when the student's finished? It may just be that Karel's in a different spot, but it could be way more complicated than that. It could change colors. There might be balls that come and go, all kinds of things. So here, I'm going to come here. And so here, we can add balls. We can remove balls. We can add walls anywhere. We can remove walls. And then we can adjust where Karel's going to be. And then we can also paint things different colors. And also I can remove color. There's an option for random color. It doesn't seem to work for me. It just comes up rainbow. And there's no brown. And for some reason, I always want brown. So I just use, if you want a brown, use orange instead. So here we go. I'm going to add a wall here, and I'm going to just start making, if you've ever seen English garden labyrinths, that is what I'm going to try to make here. And we're going to try to make it so Karel can only navigate based on the colors of the flowers that he encounters. No, while front is clear or left is blocked or anything like that. He can only check the flower color of the hedges as he goes through his let's see here, we want this to happen. One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have my students make their own worlds, they often make them way too complicated. And one of my requirements for them when they turn this in is that they have to be able to provide a coded solution to whatever problem they've made. And sometimes they will get really far along and I'll say, okay, that's beautiful, but now you've got to do the hard part, which is you've got to be able to solve your own problem you've made. And that often has us go back and make radical changes to the worlds we've made, because they all of a sudden realize they have bitten off more than they can chew for their own coding skills. And I'm not without my own faults on that. There will be times where I create something and go, oh, I think this is going to be too messy. Okay, so I have created not the most attractive, but a little meditative labyrinth for Karel to go through, and I'm going to just move Karel over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to have Karel start here at row 8 and go up to column 8, just in front there, and we will have Karel face north. So Karel can be all ready to go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out how to add. So if Karel sees a blue flower, Karel's going to turn right at all blue flowers. But Karel is going to turn, let's see here. At cyan, we're going to have Karel's going to be turning left. And then my object when I was dealing with this is having students deal with embedded if-else statements. And then when Karel gets to the end of our garden, to the park bench, Karel is going to, where do I want this? Karel's going to stop right there. I think that will work out for us. Oh, no, I left out an important color here, right here. So the idea is that Karel will have to move forward. And I will say, I'm building this off the top of my head, so it may be disastrous as we go here. My idea is that Karel will move and then write statements that will have Karel then, let's see, do I want to do while front is clear? And then have Karel come and hit these various colors. Kind of don't want a while loop. I think if I have a while loop, I'm going to be in trouble. So we'll have Karel come up. So then, okay, so let's pretend this is my solution. This is my, this is my starting world. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save Labyrinth 3.0. And now I've saved my world. And now I'm going to add a solution. And for this one, my solution is going to be really easy, but I will show you some things just to be aware of here. So we're going to add the solution. The add the solution now gives me the identical world. You'll notice that in my select action area up here, my bar is much smaller because I can no longer add and remove walls. Karel cannot do that. Karel can only smash into walls, but cannot add and remove them. So here is where If there was a ball to place or remove, because we wanted to change placements of balls, we would do that here. If there was a color change, like in my bats one, I have Karel change all the red squares to yellow squares and things like that. But in this case, all we want to do is have Karel move back and up. And I guess we'll have Karel face west. And there we go. That is going to be the mere difference between my starting world and my solution world. You'll notice that in the naming of it, they very nicely have just taken the word I've already given and added the term solution to it. So when you see your worlds, you know which pair of them go together. So at this point, I have created this new world, and I'm going to click save. I'm going to leave my solution area here. So go back to worlds. Let's see if this worked here. Here's my Labyrinth 3.0. I think I may not have. Yes, there we go. Here we go. So here's our world. It did work. Now, I will say that one of the things that I would do before this goes ready for prime time is that I would change the size of this, probably not give myself so much dead space. If I kept the dead space, I would fill it in with various figures of monsters and scary shrubs and various storytelling elements. I might even tease another entrance to the next level up here at the top or something like that, because of course my object is to engage the students in this story so they feel like they care about the fate of our dear Karel and the treasure and the exhaustion. And we all, if it works out well, usually the classes are they feel great ownership over Karel's happiness by the time this is over. And they really want things to work out well for Karel. So there's our two little worlds right there. And then we hit save. And back to worlds. And so now we've done it. So I'm going to go back. Now, I believe I'm going to hit back to program here. Actually, before I do so, in this same assignment, I would, before letting students see it, I would add a second world or two. I'd have 3 different worlds. And Karel would need to be able to run all the mazes using the same basic code. All right here. So I would go back in and create an entirely different maze, but blue would mean turn right and cyan would mean turn left and red would mean stop. And I might even add, in fact, that's what I want to do. I want to go back to this world and add an orange or a green that means go. That's what I was missing. I didn't want the while loop. I wanted green that means go. I'm missing that. So I would add more colors. So there'd be upwards of 4 and 5 different color options controlling flower colors, controlling Karel. Right now, though, I'm going to go back to program. And when you go back to program, what it's actually doing here is it's taking you straight in to see what the students would see. I'll admit that's not where I want to go. If I was going back to program, I'm in the middle of making all this right now. So what I want to be in is I want to be here in my auto grader and my assignment piece, so I can come through here and edit this stuff. So I would come here. I'm not going to edit the worlds right now, but I could come back over here to my overview. Wait. I would come back in and I would edit. I'm sorry, here we are. I'm sorry. I would start editing here. And I would I just remind myself that I've given an assignment for a blue. I'd give myself a rule for a cyan and a red. I'm not going to tell the students what the rules are. They have to figure out those rules themselves, right? But I'm just going to give them a clue that these colors mean something. And they get the based, so like all Karel instructions are based on the right? So I would just tell them that all of them have to be there. I'm going to start building as I go through this process. Let me pause right there. Any questions? Have you discovered any problems? Have you found something fabulous that I've missed?
Don't think we have any questions yet, unless somebody else has gotten some. I did mention that if anybody is creating any awesome Karel worlds that you'd like to share, we would love to know. Just drop a note in chat, and we will do a little sharing session toward the end of our workshop today.
So I think, Lori, I'm going to stick on this screen a little bit longer and maybe show some examples of some of the older Karel stuff here. I think if I go to, so here's our class for today. Here's our class for today. I'm just going to click on a few of these just to show you. Let me see, here we go, preview. So this is the first one I ever wrote, and it's probably one of the harder ones that I've written, and I often tell kids maybe skip it and come back. But Indiana Karel was an unassuming, peaceful pup until one day the unexpected happened. Karel was digging in the yard and found a piece of a key. Where there's a key, there's a way, thought Karel. Karel began looking for other pieces of the key and a lock for the key. Help Karel find and deliver the key pieces to the secret door in the backyard. Then have Karel get ready to enter the adventure. To keep Karel organized, have 5 functions: key 1, key 2, key 3, key 4, and place key. Key 1 will take Karel to any key. Then place key will have Karel take that key or the key to the secret door. Then key 2 and so forth. The place key function should move Karel from any of the keys to the secret door. That's the piece of code that makes it the hardest, is we've got to be able to go from any of the 4 locations and write that a very clean code function to get us to the right spot. Then they create a 6th function called open door to split the keys into 2 piles of 2. Make sure you comment, and then this code length goal of 90. Students should be able to do this one in 80, 85 if they're good. And then some kids go way over, that's fine. And then, so this is the Karel. I'm not sure what that should not be there. But here, this is the little thing where we just would write the code for the students to run through, and then you click submit and continue, and it would tell you, nope, sorry, you haven't gotten the right functions yet, things like that. They've got to pile them up down here. You can see, here's the solution. Karel's got to be standing there proudly looking at the open door in his doghouse down there. And then I'll close out of that one. One of my favorite ones, is this one, which I admit I probably need to rewrite the instructions for. But for this one, you can see that there are 2 different starting worlds, each with their own solution. One set of code has to solve them both. So this is one of those paired ones. And this one is, I clearly need to go, I don't know why all the answer code's already here. That's not good. I clearly need to go change this. This one's challenging to look at because you can see that there are walls in here, but you can't see where the walls are. And so the students have to figure out how, in very limited amount of code, to solve this one. This one's the most puzzle-like of all the ones I've made. And when a kid hasn't figured it out, they can be very frustrated by this one, because the coding, you can do the whole thing in 19 lines. This is 20 lines, but you can truly do the whole thing in 19 lines, and it comes really, very quick. But this one drives people a little bit crazy sometimes. So, and then those are 2 short ones, but then we have these huge ones. This is the hardest one right here. Oh, by the way, bats is, I won't make it, I will just say, many of mine are based loosely on extra Karel challenges. And so when you get in these as a teacher, you're gonna go, oh, I see what's going on here. So this one is just the checkerboard code turned into gamification. This is just the checkerboard code that they get to then make. It's a little bit more complicated, but other than that. So this one has two different worlds we have to solve. The balls, the green squares are pools of poison, so we can't pick up the balls from the pools of poison. And then we have various odd monsters, I don't even know what they are, lying around that people have to get. This is very long code. This will take the kids a long time. Some students will do it, I think, in the assignment in very brief lines of code, 65 lines. Most students do this one over 100 lines. This one's a little bit trickier just because of these walls. They've got to get past these walls and stuff like that. So let me show you. So those are Indiana Carol as currently out there today. Let me take you back in here. There are Ocean Current is going to be a new Indiana Carol that's about to pop up here. And Indiana Carol Bridge. Let me show you Indiana Carol Bridge. This is a student designed one. She's created two different worlds here, and we have to place a drawbridge down for Carol to cross the drawbridge, and then Carol has to then clean up the drawbridge. And I will show you that. So this is world one, and Carol's got to move these balls and lay them out in a bridge form, and then pile them up on their own side to get to this castle. And this is, so we have world one and world two, and then we have the narrower, longer bridge. And this is a really fun one. She wrote a good plot. I did make some modifications to, make it teacher approved, but next world. So there we go. Lori, I'll pass it back off to you now.
All right, awesome. So that has been so much fun. I think, let's see. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I don't think so. What I would say is once you start playing with this, it gets very addicting. I really love making new Carol worlds, and I think this is a really fun activity for students as well. So I'm really glad you've all had the opportunity to see how you can do this. I think this is something that so many teachers often miss. So it's been really cool to be able to show you all this. And does anybody have anything you'd like to share if you've been trying your own worlds? Or you don't have to be shy, just in case. Wanted to see. So I've been seeing a lot of questions, so I know you're all trying, so that's pretty cool. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We've got just a little bit more that we want to take you through. Bear with me one second. Okay, and I think you should be seeing middle school courses up on your screen right now.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so one of the really cool things about Indiana Carol is that Erik has really spurred some creativity on the team. And this happens a lot. We'll see some amazing projects that our CodeHS teachers will do. And we start thinking about things that we can do also as a team. And so one of those things that we've been looking at are some brand new middle school courses that are actually just getting developed right now. So I want to give you a little preview of some of those. Let's see. So not all of the middle school courses, well, let me just go ahead and jump into these first. So we've always had some middle school courses available, but now what we're doing is we're actually creating content that is going to be really engaging, really relatable for middle school students in particular, because really we want to make sure that we're connecting with kids at a younger and younger age to get them excited about computer science, excited about programming, and really into all the possibilities that they could be doing with this awesome topic. So we want to make computer science curriculum that's highly engaging for our middle school, for any kids, but for our middle school kids in particular. We also want to provide with multiple entry points and really be ready to accommodate a wide range of student levels. And we want to think about those transition times. So what does it look like to go from elementary to middle school coding environments? Sometimes if you do have computer science in elementary, you might be doing more block coding. I know that was something that I did often with my elementary kids when I was still in the classroom, is we would do that block coding, whether it was in Scratch or I know for some of my upper elementary kids, I still used CodeHS, but we used Karel and we used block coding. So what does that start looking like to start moving to a more mature level of coding or a different level of coding? I guess block coding still has a good place. I don't want to make it sound like it does not. And we also want to think about not just that transition from elementary to middle school, but what does that look like as kids start moving on to high school as well? So we have, our curriculum developers have been hard at work and are still hard at work, getting ready to have a modular solution for middle school. So we want to really meet the unique needs of middle school. We know that there are so many different schedules and class structures in a middle school course. And by the way, I keep saying middle school, but I will say that many of the things that we're talking about in this middle school catalog could easily be used for kids who are simply getting introduced for coding for the first time. I used Karel for my first time coders at any level. That even includes at the graduate level. When I was teaching some graduate teaching classes as well. So each of the modules that our curriculum developers are currently working on focus on a specific topic in CS. They're 10 hours long, about 10 hours, and they are introductory. And the important thing is that they can be taught as a standalone module. So we really want to think about that modular idea with these. All of the modules are aligned to both state and CSTA standards. And we have 10 new modules. Some will specifically be designed for lower middle school, while others are going to be for those upper middle school grades. And others are just designed for any middle school grade. So some of the first lower middle school modules that we have are really going to be geared toward 5th and 6th grade. But you can absolutely do these at other levels as well. And these are specifically the modules that I think were inspired by Erik's Indiana Karel. So we have Karel Adventures 1, where students are going to learn the basics of JavaScript, and they're going to follow Karel on 2 different adventures, very much like Indiana Karel. Then we have Karel Adventures 2, where students continue to follow Karel the dog and learn more advanced concepts in JavaScript. And then we have not left out Python. I know I was a little torn when I was in my school yet, because I was more of a Python fan, not because I didn't like JavaScript. Python, just something spoke to me with that. And so I was often teaching kids about Tracy. So we have not left out Tracy. Tracy Adventures are also here. Students will learn how to use basic commands, variables, and functions in their program. So Tracy gets her own adventures too. Oops. And I'm going to try to play this. This is just a quick preview. I realized we'll see if it works. I have a couple of issues sometimes with playing sound. So if it sounds garbled, if you want to give me a heads up, and I'll just stop it.
Hello, and welcome to Karel Adventures, Lost in Space, a call from space. Karel was about to tuck into bed after a long day of playing fetch, when suddenly the radio started to cackle. Karel! Karel, do you read me? Karel leaped out of the bed and spoke into the radio. I copy, Tracy. Where are you calling from? There's a lot of noise. Here. On Mars. There's a lot. Eat out. Tracy? Tracy, do you copy? A few days ago, Tracy had taken off in a rocket to travel through space, but it sounds like Tracy may have run into trouble. Karel quickly packed a bag and went outside to find a very unfinished spaceship. I need to finish the spaceship fast so I can help Tracy. Use these paint commands to help Karel finish this spaceship and get to Tracy.
So pretty cool. I love these new videos. And so this is the kind of content that is being created for Karel and Tracy's adventures. So Lost in Space. And this gives me just a whole idea for other adventures we could be creating.
I love it.
Awesome. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's pretty fun. And honestly, this is not just something that you have to hold for middle school kids. One of the things I always think about is how can we use this at different levels? I think there could be some really phenomenal ways to use this with introductory students, even in high school, and have them create their own adventures for Tracy and Karel based on these. I'm already inspired. So really some fun stuff here.
You could use it as a fill-in too. Like
What's
if you have an extra time, you could use it as a fill-in. It would be so fun for the kids because they're playing. Oh my gosh, so totally cool. So
that's so cool. I'm glad you like it. So here is an example of one of the Karel adventures one. You can see Karel is climbing a tree, looks like, building a ladder. So definitely another cool thing. And you all know the behind the scenes of this now. We don't have a special trick on our end for building Karel worlds. We can absolutely do this the same way that Erik just showed all of you to do this. Oh, cool, Kimberly, that's awesome. I can see you using this in recruiting events. That is so cool. I'm so excited to hear that. Yeah, so this is definitely something pretty amazing that you can use. Here's Karel Adventures 2. I really love this world. There has been some time taken to make some Karel worlds here. So definitely a cool feature. I love this map. I just think it's awesome. Remember, your students can do this too, and you can do this. And Tracy Adventures will look a little bit different because Tracy doesn't have that same grid world, but remember, Tracy the turtle can draw pictures like this. And so you can do some pretty in-depth things. I am fascinated by this. I can tell you, as a Python fan, I don't know that I've ever drawn cool pictures like this with Tracy, but this is pretty awesome. So those are some of the previews of the Tracy and Karel adventures. So some of the other things that you can see in upper middle school modules for 7th and 8th grade specifically, are going to be things, modules like Exploring Code with Karel. So that's going to be a whole module where students are going to be able to learn the basics of programming with Karel the dog. We've also got some other really nice middle school modules. And again, these are standalone. Exploring Art with Code. And that one is really fun. So if you've got kids who are really creative and want a creative outlet, want to discover how computer science can actually help them with that, Exploring Art with Code is what you should check out. This actually uses a library that is really easy to grasp if kids have started with JavaScript especially, but it uses P5.js. And so I would highly recommend checking this out because this is an amazing fun thing to try out. And exploring game design. I think that that's always something fun that kids are excited about and definitely can be engaging for those kids who think they might want to be a game designer. So we can see a few other examples here. Exploring Code with Karel. You can see another world that Karel will be exploring. Karel's going to be getting ready to play a tennis ball game with friends at the dog park. Karel wants to hide 4 tennis balls around the dog park. Help Karel get the game set up by programming Karel to put 1 tennis ball in each of the purple squares around the dog park. So not nearly as death-defying as Indiana Karel, but still very fun, right? This is an example from Exploring Art with Code. I absolutely love this course. This one is done with P5.js, and your students will be making art that looks something similar to this. So very, very cool. This is something I found when kids start trying out P5.js. I know for myself, I just want to see what else I can do with it. You can make some really intricate pieces of art and generative art with this. So we always have some additional or other middle school modules also, and these are available for all grades. Digital citizenship is very, very important. So we definitely want to include that in any of our curriculum. And I would say not just for middle school, we want to include digital citizenship for any grade that we might be speaking to. So exploring digital citizenship is one of our modules. Exploring the internet is also another really great introductory module for our middle school kids or anybody who needs this introduction. Exploring computing is another one, and exploring web design. Web design, I think you can never go wrong with. It's another really great way for kids to be creative and try out some of their, try to be creative in the realm of computer science. So in exploring the internet, you're going to see some really cool simulations. I think these are going to be some really great ways, especially if you've got kids who are more visual learners. I know for myself, it's very helpful to see abstract concepts visualized in a different way. And so this is one of the really cool simulations you're going to see. You're also going to see different types of activities. So if you've used CodeHS for a while, you're probably familiar with what you've seen happen in the platform before. Well, this is going to be another activity. It's actually going to be a drag and drop kind of activity where students can drag and drop these different components into the right category and check the results and fix the results. I'm very excited about this because I've long wanted us to start doing some Parsons problems, so I'm hoping those come next as well. So mix and match courses, all of these are very modular. This course includes all 10 modules. Teachers are going to be able to choose the modules to teach and the order to teach them in. I know this is something that we get asked about at all of our workshops. How can I customize my courses? Well, all that customization is something that you can do right here with these mix and match courses as well. And I think if anybody has questions about the customization piece, we can certainly take some of those in a little bit too, because I'd be happy to walk through any of that. There will also be some pre-built courses as well. So if you're feeling like, yeah, I kind of know what I want to use, or you just don't have time to really go through the things and decide what you want to add in, you can also choose Computer Science Explorations 1 or Computer Science Explorations 2. Explorations 1 will include Karel Adventures 1 and 2, Exploring Computing, then you get a few Tracy adventures as well, and Exploring Digital Citizenship. Explorations 2 will include Explore Programming with Karel, Exploring the Internet, Exploring Web Design, Art with Code, and Game Design. So they're both really great courses. 2 is going to be a really nice survey kind of course for your middle school kids. So each course has 5 modules for a total of about 50 hours of content. And of course, that depends on how quickly your students do go through that material. So you can definitely see some more information about the mix and match courses with the course overview and the mix and match guide as well. I think I've got these handy. So I'm going to go ahead and toss that one is for the course overview. Sorry, that's a big long link. I didn't make that a pretty one. But this one is for mix and match middle school course overview and guide. And you can see there we go, the overview page here as well. Kimberly asked, can high school level courses be modular also? Absolutely, you definitely can make them modular. Yeah, Kimberly, for sure. I think what we will do at the end is I will spend just a little bit of time talking a little bit about customization, and we can look at how we can actually add those different pieces into our courses. Cool. Yeah, you bet. So for CS Explorations 1 and CS Explorations 2, I've got a couple of different course overviews for you here as well. I'm going to toss these links into chat too, so you can start taking a look at those. And I think something important to note here, whoops, there we go. I wasn't copying anything on that one. There we are. So something important to note is that these are not available just yet. These are slated to launch in mid-July, I think, somewhere around there. So if you want to get notified of when these middle school courses are ready to go, you can come out to these overview pages and click on I'm interested, and you will get notified. You can do the same with mix and match middle school courses as well. And you'll get notified as soon as those are in the catalog and ready to start creating courses with. Yep, just like that. Click on I'm interested. I always get ahead of my slides. And we still have existing middle school content. So if you've been in the courses at all, in the course catalog, you might have seen that we have Intro to Physical Computing with Microbit. I know that's a course that's used by both middle school and high school. So that course is still available, and it is very modular. It's a short course, super easy to pop into anything. Creating a game with Roblox has been getting very, very popular. That is something that does need an external download as well, so do keep that in mind. And then we have coding in science and coding in math as well. Any questions about that? Oh, cool. Erik just mentioned Intro with Karel and A-Frame as a mix and match for a CS1 course works well. Cool. That's an awesome tip. All right. Okay, so since I lost track of time because you all have been awesome and I've been chatting with you in chat, I neglected to give you a little break. So what we're going to do, we don't have long left in our workshop, but I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes if you do need to run, grab some coffee, or whatever you need to do, you need a quick break. Let's take just a few minutes. And then I'm going to come back with a little additional content for this workshop, if that sounds okay, Erik?
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect. I think we'll do a little customization because I think that might be the most valuable for this group.
Perfect.
Cool. So let's take a 5-minute break. Let's come back at 34 after the hour. Thanks, everybody. See you in a minute.
Roy, are you in Wisconsin? Am I dreaming? Where are you at?
Well, currently I just couldn't find my mouse. So sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was like, the look on your face, I was like, oh man, I'm way off.
No, where did you think I'm from?
From Wisconsin?
No, I'm from South Dakota.
Minnesota. Huh?
South Dakota. South Dakota.
South Dakota. Okay. And North Dakota. Okay.
Do
My
I sound
daughter.
like I'm from Wisconsin?
No, you don't. That's why I was like, I don't think that's where she's from. My sister-in-law is from Wisconsin. So yeah, and she sounds like she's from Wisconsin. But anyway.
Yeah. It's a good accent. Every now and again I get
I
kind
know,
of that Minnesota sound.
yes, Minnesota. That's what I was. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. My daughter is in Omaha right now. She's in the Air Force and she just got stationed in Omaha. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
that is one of my favorite towns. Love Omaha.
Seriously. Oh.
I'm only about 5 hours from. I have a lot of favorites, so maybe I just shouldn't even start saying that. But yeah, I'm only about 5 hours from Omaha, so
Oh, really?
within driving distance. When you live in the Dakotas and you're only 5 hours from something, that is driving distance. So.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. I would not want to live in the Dakotas. Sorry.
We just know if we want to get somewhere, we got to drive 5 hours from the cities, 5 hours from Omaha.
Yeah.
Only 2 hours from Chicago. So there we go.
My problem is you're too north for me. Okay, that's my problem. I don't even like being in northern Indiana where I'm at right now. So
I fondly refer to myself as for anybody who watches or has watched Game of Thrones. I like to refer to myself as a White Walker or wildling. I don't know that I'm quite White Walker material, but wildling for sure. North of the wall. North of the wall.
you're too funny. You're too funny. We would get, and I'm going to tell you, if I could get up there, I would come up and visit you, but I think we would get in a lot of trouble.
I think
so. I think so, Lori. I really think we could find a lot of trouble to get into.
I'll just have to come to Indiana one of these days. So
there you go. You come anywhere near Brookville, you let me know.
So Kimberly mentioned try living in South Central Texas. It's 8+ hours in any direction just to get out of
Oh my God. No.
Kimberly. Oh my gosh.
I can't imagine.
Oh.
I feel like I live in the boondocks and I don't even live that far away. Holy cow.
Oh.
Wow. No, thank you.
All right. Well, that was fun.
It's a drive just to get, we have to stay. Yeah, we went to Colorado, South Dakota, and all of that. It was one night, overnight, still in Texas, the first night on the trip.
Wow.
I'm like, this is not good.
Oh my gosh. I know it's far in Texas because we went to San Antonio, Texas. And I thought, my God, when are we going to get through? It's like driving through Alabama. Oh my gosh.
I live about an hour from San Antonio.
Oh my gosh, I know where you're at. Holy cow.
I'm in between Austin and San Antonio.
Oh, you are right in the middle.
Yeah. But that's okay. I live out in the country, and so I have coyotes and crickets for neighbors. I like it.
I like that.
It like that.
Kimberly, I'm right there with you. I'm a country girl, and I open my door and I get to hear coyotes at night. So it's
Yeah.
cool.
You're in my yard, and yeah. But I will say this, South Dakota, we went to the Black Hills, to the typical tourist spot. It was lovely. I loved the temperature. I loved
But it's beautiful.
the hills. It is really beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, I haven't been to the eastern side, which I would assume is a little more flat.
It's a touch different over here. So yeah, I'm in the northeast corner of the state, and this would be the part that people don't really visit. It's very flat. I can
Flyover part.
I can see 25 miles that way easily. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. I'm on a very small hill. And when I say hill, it's just kind of a bump, but yeah, it's it's still beautiful, but much different than the western side.
Yeah. We only went to the western side on our way venturing. That was a good trip though.
I would recommend it for anybody. It is pretty amazing. So
Yeah,
all right. Oh,
one
go
of
ahead.
our formers now lives in North Dakota and she's a university professor there.
Oh, cool. That's
To
awesome.
go from South Texas to North Dakota though, had to have been like crazy shock come winter time.
Oh yes, very much so. Very much so. I won't move there just because they have that much more snow than us. So
Yeah, she's moving back because now she's a grandma
oh, cool.
and he works with me.
Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's take some of our last few minutes here and by the way, this has been a blast. I love it when I get a chance to get to know our educators. I'm very isolated where I'm at, so this has been awesome. I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and take a little look at some customization strategies. I think that this is something that I like to do in any of our workshops, but at the same time, there's so much there that it's nice to get a quick overview of how you can customize. And I think Erik's workshop in particular lends itself to customization because he's creating those cool custom worlds and his kids are creating those cool custom worlds as well. So anytime that you want to start customizing, there's a few ways you can do it. Often I'm in a section already and I think, well, I just want to add something here. So if I'm in a section, in this case, I happen to be in a fancy little demo section with my fake kiddos here. You can see they're at varying places or varying areas of progress. But when I'm in my section, I'm going to click on assignments up at the top of this section page. This is often the toolbar that I use to navigate, either that toolbar or over here on the side too, you can get to the assignments tab here. So now from the assignments page, this is really what I think of as my teacher dashboard, because this is where I go in, I see my teacher view of this section, all the content that's included in it and all of that as well. So in this case, this is actually using JavaScript and it's using the Golden version of the course. Just as a side note, Golden is actually no longer one of our default courses. The new one is Corgi. So if you are teaching Intro to CS and JavaScript, you might want to check out Corgi. I'll just show you real quick. That will be the first one that pops up here. So Corgi is the course you want. So if you're used to seeing Golden, Corgi is our new Golden at this point. It's pretty much, there's a few changes, but few changes in the language syntax, but nothing that would be terribly difficult for somebody to get. Oops, wrong thing. There we go. So now from here, if I want to do just some basic modifications or basic customizations, I can do that. I could click on edit. Let me see if I can. I don't know if it's going to be a little cranky with me, so I'll just see if I can zoom in. There we go. I can click on edit. Notice it changes that button to red. And now I can actually move around these modules. It's being a little bit draggy just because we're on Zoom. You usually won't see those trails like that. Once I move them around, I can click on done. I can also click on the 3 dots. So on the right side of any of the modules, you're going to see 3 dots. I can move the modules down. I can move them up. I can add a new lesson, all kinds of stuff. I can even open up the modules. I can move the lessons around by clicking the 3 dots. I can move all those. I can also open up the lessons and I can reorganize the lesson. Now, one of the things you're probably going to be wondering is, why is Lori's check for understanding quiz in the middle? Well, it's because Lori's been playing already. Usually this is going to be, oops, too high. It's going to be the second activity because we have that video and then check for understanding quiz. One of the things that teachers will often do is they don't really want to use that check for understanding quiz right there. I happen to be one of those teachers. Sometimes I wanted it there, sometimes I wanted to move it. So a lot of times we'll see people take that very short quiz, shift it down, and now it becomes a end of class wrap up exit ticket. That's the phrase I'm trying to think of. It becomes an exit ticket. And so since it's a short little quiz, that is a really nice way to actually use those. The other thing that people do, teachers will do, is to actually click the 3 dots and say move to lesson. Oops. Now I could move that quiz to more basic Karel. Notice it's no longer in lesson 1. And now it's in lesson 2. You're probably thinking, Lori, why are we doing that? Well, maybe I don't want it to be an exit ticket. Maybe I want it to be a bell ringer. Now, when kids come into my class, they're going to see check for understanding. They're going to do that first. And that actually gives me a really good idea of what they're retaining from class to class. And especially if you've got maybe a class that meets every other day, this is going to be a really helpful tool as well. By the way, everything that I'm doing here is available to free and pro teachers. So all those customizations are free or pro. Some of the other things that you can do is you can add entire blank modules. So if I want to add a new module, maybe I want to add a module called Classroom Resources. And then I could even choose an image to add to it. I know for me, I'm very visual and I like to see something that points me into the direction of where I need to go. So I click create. It's going to add it at the bottom. Notice I've already added a workshop resources, but now I can move that up. Probably do this a little bit faster if I went and just turned on edit mode and drag and dropped it, but that's all right. We'll just keep doing this. Whoop. Or maybe I'll stop so you don't have to watch me click. I'm almost there. I feel like now I just got to do it. Is it there? It's there. Okay, so there's my empty module. And now from here, I can actually add a lesson. And really, we're creating that folder structure at this point. So now I'm going to add a lesson called More Resources. Create. And from here, now I can actually populate this lesson. And this is where it gets really fun. So if I create a new assignment, I can add any of these different assignment types. By the way, I'm still acting as a free teacher at this point. Free teachers can add any of these different activity types. So you can add a coding exercise here. So this is basically just an open sandbox, an open sandbox style coding project. So if you want to have your kids try coding something that's outside of the bounds of the auto graders, this is a great way to add those in to your course lesson progression. You can also add your own quizzes here. You can add a practice problem. So I know some of you are very, very excited about creating your own problems. You can actually create your own auto graders as well. You can add your own videos here. So if you've got, maybe you're doing some digital citizenship or cyber security, one of the things I always like to add was current events. So if there's other content I want to include, you can add that here. If I'm adding a slide deck or maybe a Google Doc, this is a great way to do that. If there's a web page that you want to add, this is another good place to do that. You can add your own notes. You can also add a free response question. This one is really, really cool as well. I used to be, Erik mentioned he did not start in computer science. Well, neither did I. I was actually a former ELA teacher, and I put writing in every single thing I ever gave to my students. And so I would use, you can use the free response questions to actually set up a journal inside of CodeHS. Then you don't have kids losing things. Or losing notebooks, and I don't have to read handwriting, which is very nice. This is also a really cool way to maybe have a coding journal as well. You can embed activities from other sites as well. So if you are a Padlet user, Mark mentioned that he is using quizzes. I always used Quizlet. There are so many other things you can do. with those. And one of those things is you can actually grab the embed code and embed it directly in your CodeHS lesson. That way, your students do not have to leave that lesson progression to go out to another website. It's just right there. And it just saves time, maybe saves a little bit of confusion on their end. And you can also add resources. So what's really amazing, because Carla just asked, can you do this on free CodeHS too? Yes. Every last one of these items are available for free and pro teachers. So free teachers, you can embed a Padlet. You can add YouTube videos. You can create free response. You can add your own quizzes. If I click on quiz, you can see how that's done. It's in it does multiple choice, but this is a great way to add your own quizzes here. So one of the things that Mark mentioned is that the thing that is available for pro teachers only is the ability to come in and fork an activity. So when I say fork an activity, I mean copy an activity. So I'm going to come in and take a look at Booleans, check for understanding quiz. And if I click on these three dots, notice the only thing that's not really under organize is fork. So if I click on fork, this now gives me the ability to copy that activity. Now you can see that I've got the original CodeHS one here, and I've got my copy here. And now I can edit this, my copy, and I can change the name. Maybe I want to call it Mega Booleans Quiz, because I'm going to make it just go nuts or not. But I can start, I can change the name of it. I can change the questions, and I can also add additional questions to this to really make this the kind of activity or the kind of quiz that I want it to be. So copying and editing is a pro feature. All of the other customization features are all available for free teachers. Now, the other thing that you can do here, because one of the things we were talking about is those modular pieces of CodeHS. How do we make our own course the way we really want it to be? And so to make your own course and to add CodeHS content from any course, what I would do is come up to the top of this page, click add. And from this drop-down box, if we look under existing, you can see that I can add my own sandbox programs here. This is actually something that many teachers do if they're creating their own sandbox programs and using those. Ken Pendleton is actually going to do a pretty interesting activity tomorrow with P5JS and some other program types from the sandbox. And so he'll be using something like this. You can also add CodeHS projects from the project catalog here. If you haven't checked out the project catalog, by the way, you can take a look at that over here on the left-hand side of your screen under project catalog to examine those. And CodeHS course. So I came back over here to the right-hand side under add. If I click on CodeHS course, that takes me out to the whole list of all of the CodeHS courses. I don't know how many courses we have anymore. I'm fairly certain it's over 100. There's so many. And by the way, if you haven't checked to see if you've got a course specific to your state, you might want to take a look at that, because you might. You probably do. We're getting more and more state courses all of the time. And so if I want to add something from one of these courses, so let's say this is all JavaScript, great. I want a little Python too. I want to expose kids to that. I'm going to find my intro to CS and Python. And maybe I'll add the Tracy module. So now I can add the entire module, or I can choose which lessons I want to add. I can decide what I want to add to it. I can also come down to the very bottom and see all the supplemental modules that are there as well. I'll go ahead and add this whole module. Let's go ahead and view it. And it does drop it all the way at the bottom, which is okay, helps us find it that way, and then we can just move it where we want it to be. If I decide, oh man, I didn't want to add that, all I have to do is click on the three dots and click remove. Yes, delete it. If I have a panic attack and think, oh no, I deleted something I wanted, I can always get it back in a couple of ways. First, I can go in, re-add it from the course catalog, or I can click on course settings. And right here, you can see trash. View the assignments you've removed and restore them. You can see I've been playing in this one for a while. So, and that was a whole module that I removed. So if I remove a module or delete a module or a lesson, it does delete everything in that, and it does delete it individually. So I'd have to go back through and restore each of these. If I was going to delete a whole module and I needed to add it back in, I would probably just add it from the course catalog. Okay. Oops, let me get zoomed back out maybe. When it gets, there we go. When it gets a little warm in here, it doesn't like to zoom back out for me. So there we go. Maybe one more. There we go. So yeah, tons and tons of things you can do here. I would highly recommend come on in here, play with the settings, but this is absolutely how you can build your own custom courses, is by clicking on add CodeHS course and going through and adding that content. So it is one of the most powerful tools. This is typically the thing that most teachers want to hear about as soon as we can, as soon as they find out they can do this. So are there any other questions? I know I went through it super fast, but I promise it is not really very hard to get into, and it gets pretty addicting to do that. All right. Okay, we are getting down to time, so I'm going to jump back out to our slide deck and take us through a few final things. Let's see. We do have something brand new that will be rolling out at the very end of June, or I think beginning of July, actually. So the CodeHS PD membership. So this is something very, very new. I don't even think I told Erik yet. And so this is a brand new feature for professional development on CodeHS. So this is a membership that teachers can purchase to view unlimited exclusive live workshops. And we will have live workshops that are exclusive to PD membership. Also, we have a ton of mini PD courses, so many 5-hour-long mini PD courses. This is something similar that I would think about with like the ISTE catalog of PD courses or CSTA or other things like that. CodeHS also has that. This gives you unlimited access to the mini PD courses. And the library of past workshops and webinars will also live here. There's a few other things that will be coming out with this as well. If you'd like to check out more information about the PD membership, you can browse to codehs.com/PD/membership. And never mind. So I'll make sure that I actually link that to something, but I will include that information for you in the follow-up for sure. I see a couple of you have got some questions about that, so I'll make sure I include that for you in the follow-up email. It's funny, I checked that once and that's all right. We'll fix it later. All right, so some other resources that we have available. If you've been to other workshops, you'll have seen this as well. I definitely would love for you all, if you're not a CodeHS certified educator, head out and apply. All of you are eligible to do that. I was a certified educator. It's a really cool program. You'll definitely want to do that. If you're interested in teacher trainer program, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about that as well. And we've got a ton of other workshops coming up this summer. You will definitely want to visit codehs.com/freepd to check those out. And we have the link here. Tomorrow, we have a workshop with another teacher trainer, Kent Pendleton, who will be talking about P5JS, and he's going to take this in a little different way. He's going to be using his own custom program that he does with his students. He's going to show you how you can combine P5JS with some other languages as well to really make some powerful programs. I would highly recommend signing up for that and checking it out. And next week, Tuesday, getting started teaching Intro to Python with Scott Hedrick, another teacher trainer, good friend of mine from South Dakota, actually. I met him when he was training me in one of my workshops. So Scott will be taking us through Intro to CS and Python and talking about teaching strategies there. He is kicking off our Python week next week. We have a full week packed for that. So you can head out to codehs.com/freepd to go ahead and sign up for any of those. And if I could have you take a moment when you have a chance, please head out to our workshop survey. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that in chat. Head out to codehs.com/workshop survey. Let us know how we did today. And let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see. We absolutely check out our survey results, and we make sure we tweak and edit whatever we do to make everything better and to bring you anything else you might be looking for. So take a moment to do that. Oh, cool. Yeah, Mark, I'm seeing some of your subscriptions. I was reading 2 messages at the same time. They're trying to reading your suggestions. Cool. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely make note of that. Yeah, let us know what else we can bring to you. And that is going to wrap up our workshop for today. Thank you all for coming. And most of all, Erik, thank you for leading us through an amazing Indiana Carol workshop.
My pleasure. I got a double dip here today. I learned as much as I taught, I think. This is great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, Erik, I feel like I learn something every time we do a workshop. So I absolutely love your sessions. And no matter how many times I get to hear about Indiana Carol, I just get excited. And I'm pretty sure my project tomorrow is going to be focusing on maybe making some Python.
There we go. There we go. Get that Python for Carla. I got you. We're going to work on this.
Absolutely. And thank you to the CodeHS team as well for helping me out during this workshop. Couldn't do it without you guys too, but Erik, again, thank you. This was amazing. And thank you to all of you who joined today. I know there are some teachers who are still wrapping up their school year, and I hope you are all out of school for the summer. I hope. And for joining us today. We know you have a lot of ways that you can choose to spend your time, and you chose to spend it with us today. So thank you for that. We appreciate you. We appreciate all that you do for your students. So make sure to take some time to take care of yourself this summer. Kick back, relax, forget about school, rest and recharge. And I do hope that we can see you at another CodeHS workshop very soon. Thank you very, very much, everybody.